WNST, Towson, Baltimore, to catch up with some folks that I haven't had on in a little while. And, there's some weeks where I'm into the Capitals, or some weeks where you had baseball going, or football, or the draft, and we're working all that. And, of course, with the NBA and the NHL finals the next couple of weeks, we'll be checking in with some experts in and around those trails, even down to Nashville with the Predators, as my Predators jersey will hang here for as long as the Preds are alive in the Stanley Cup finals, on behalf of my pal David Poyle. But this is a guy I did not get a chance to catch up with when my wife and I were in Australia back in February and early March. He was on the other side of Australia, sort of to the south, down there in Melbourne. He covers all things Baltimore sports. He's an Orioles fan. He's a Ravens fan. He is out on the internet up in the middle of the night. I don't know how he does it, quite frankly. He's over there with the kangaroos and the koalas that we love so much. We never met an Australian we don't like. Dan Clark is of Dan Clark Sports. You can follow him out on Twitter, as well as at DIC Sports DJC Sports out on the internet. Dan Clark, welcome back. How's this going for you, this 162-game marathon where the Orioles play at all sorts of odd hours of the morning for you?
Yeah, it's not going too bad. It's been a bit of frustration in the last few weeks anyway, probably the last fortnight. I'm quite shocked they're 25-18, to be honest. There's a few positives in there, but overall there's been quite a few concerns. Some of the things they were looking to address in the off-season, in particular the rotation, coming down the strikeout, on-base percentage like Gentry, trying to boost that. A lot of those things just haven't worked.
Well, I don't know what the other options are when you really don't have a 6th, 7th, or 8th option. And I think if they did, Jimenez wouldn't have been a part of this. They jettisoned Gallardo, and I think Seth Smith's been a nice addition. But Gausman has not been what expected. Jimenez, we've talked about this for 3.5 years now, so I've never been in that corner. I thought that they probably should have jettisoned him before he ever had that patch last year where he pitched well and ultimately cost the team the season in the end out on the hill. Tillman, okay, I'm waiting on that, but I think there needs to be more, and certainly Wade Miley's on a bit of a borrowed time for the way he's pitched to have the results he's had.
Yeah, I agree. And look, imagine if Miley hadn't pitched well this year, and if Bundy hadn't improved the way he has, would be in all sorts of trouble. I think I was looking the other day, and already they're on track to give up more than 700 earned runs this year, which is going back to the 2011 days. So you got guys like Noah and Asher who have kind of shown that they can compete at that level. I don't think there's a need to have Jimenez there anymore. It's give him a mop-up role in the bullpen. That's really all I can see. Only way I can add value to this team.
Well, if you're going to have some of these projects, and Alec Asher was a well-thought-of guy at one point. He was a big leaguer with the Phillies. Didn't make it, but there are guys who improve, right? And I think we're looking at Wei-In Chen. We're looking at Miguel Gonzalez, even looking at Kim last year, coming over and playing in a new place, in a new country, in a new environment, in a new culture, and struggled in the beginning, but, really showed himself nicely by the time the season ended. You have to give guys an opportunity, and it's a shame that they rolled Gonzalez out of here as quickly as they did, especially given how many chances they gave the Arrietas and the Mattises and the Britons as starters, that he didn't do anything other than have a $5 million salary that warranted him being thrown onto the scrap heap last year. And I think there should be grave regrets about that throughout the organization. And I don't know where they're going to go, but I know fixing Gausman needs to be a real priority around here, because fixing him would be better than anything else that they're going to be able to get in the marketplace.
I agree. Gausman's form is puzzling. His fastball is just getting smashed. He hasn't taken the step that we expected. I just want to touch on Gonzalez that you mentioned. He's been great since he left. He had one bad spring, and they cut him really quickly. You're right. Why didn't they persist with him? His record was fantastic in Baltimore. And talking about giving guys an opportunity, Trey Mancini wasn't going to make this roster. He had a great spring. He got his shot. And look what he's done. So you're absolutely spot on. We've got to give these guys a chance. Jimmy Yacobonis down at Norfolk. There's concerns. He doesn't strike out enough guys. He walks a few too many. But look what he's doing down there. He's working to an ERA just over 1, a WHIP under 1, and 22 solid innings of relief. They've got to give these guys a chance.
Dan Clark watches and follows all things Baltimore sports over in Melbourne, Australia. He has become my mate on the internet. You can follow him at Dan Clark Sports, out on Twitter, as well as at djcsports.com. The games are on, about 8 in the morning your time, 8 or 9 in the morning?
Yeah, 9 o'clock. Yeah, if it's a night game, which obviously most are over in Baltimore, it's 9 o'clock my time, and if it's a day game, it's 3 a.m. So 3 a.m. Monday usually. Sunday game.
Oh, right. So the afternoon games get you into boo-boo when they play at noon, right? That's like 2 a.m. when they play like the Thursday or the Wednesday game against the Twins, right? Okay. I'm working on the clock. I lived over there for a little while. So, have you ever been to Hamilton Island, or have you ever been up to Noosa Heads or any of the places, Coolangatta, some of the places that we love so much?
Yeah, been up north probably 2 or 3 times. It's fantastic up there. Really nice weather compared to what we get down here in Melbourne.
Dude, why don't you move to Noosa Heads and just live the life I've always wanted to live?
Well, I could say you're living the life I've always wanted to live. Baltimore.
You have 2 blocks from Camden Yards. I keep forgetting I'm in the epicenter of your universe.
Exactly.
Well, back to the Orioles and the offense, and I have said all week, and I've said this for 2 weeks, I said it when things were going bad against Kansas City, they're going to hit the ball. I mean, I have no doubt that when the weather thins out a little bit, they're going to hit home runs. They're going to have nights where they're the team scoring the 14 runs, or somehow, some way, 5 runs in the first couple of innings needs to be enough for whomever their 5th starter is. And on Monday night, that was just ripping a scab off a wound. I think the bullpen's getting taxed now, and I don't think the pitching might not get better. I mean, I certainly don't expect Wade Miley to be better statistically than what he's been. I do expect Gausman to get better, but from an offensive perspective, I expect more runs. I still expect strikeouts and not a lot of walks and all of that. But Machado has really been struggling, and I think there are a lot of maturity issues there that no one in Happy Valley wants to write about. I think this notion of he's going to get $300 million, maybe not, but not when he's hitting 220, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. You talk about the offense. The concerning thing, they've lost games this year where they've put up 9 runs, they've put up 8 runs, they've put up 11 runs and lost. That's a concern. They may well go out and slug 3 home runs, 4 home runs and score a dozen runs, but the way they've been pitching, and we saw it recently with Jimenez, it's no guarantee that they're going to win. Machado, you're absolutely spot on. I think he's hitting just over 220. The power's still there, but he's not hitting consistently like we've seen in years gone by. I still think he'll come round though. JJ Hardy, let's talk about him. He's been poor with the bat and the glove. Is it time to look at another option?
And boy, they like him, right? I mean, he's got a lot of tread on the tire. His teammates, Buck. But, boy, it is not a good look right now, and these partings are never easy when you're hitting Mendoza and it's summertime. Look, they don't have an answer for him, right? So benching him, then that begs the question, okay, well, then whom? It's not Ryan Flaherty. I mean, it's moving Machado over to shortstop and, Pedro Alvarez. I don't think they're going to do anything crazy like that. And certainly I don't think they're going to do anything crazy like that with the pennant on the line. And they're very much in this. And, look, we can sit here and talk about all the flaws and all the problems. And I don't think anybody other than Castillo and I would say Bundy have been above the line for where they could be or should be, or in the case of Chris Davis, being paid to be. But I do think the offense will straighten out. The pitching, these were the concerns that you and I had. We talked about, I think, back in January, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. And the bullpen's only going to get more fatigued. So, and we know that Britton's going to be out until probably the All-Star game at least. It's a real concern. The bullpen's blowing leads late. I think they've blown 8 saves already. It could even be more. I share that concern. It's not going to get better. Gausman will improve, but Miley's not going to keep putting up these numbers.
Dan, tell everybody about what you do out at Dan Clark Sports and doing it from halfway around the world every morning up watching the Orioles play. I could explain it, but it's probably better explained by you.
Yeah, look, I just put up a couple articles a week on my main website, cbldaily.com. And then, do a few radio gigs here and there. some stuff with ABC 47 on the TV here and there.
What's your background in baseball? Tell everybody how you found baseball over in Australia, because it's not as uncommon as maybe folks over here would believe, although I did see a lot more cricket, a lot more rugby, a lot more Aussie rules, certainly a lot of basketball and a lot of soccer going on over there.
Yeah, cricket is predominantly our major sport in summer, and so baseball competes with that naturally. Baseball is growing over here. We've had about, I think, 33 guys reach the bigs over there in America at the last count. So it's growing. We've got a lot of kids go over there play college baseball. So, yeah, the Australian League, the Australian Professional League's improving. The O's send 2 or 3 prospects out here each year. They go play over in Perth. So catch up with them when they're playing in Melbourne. Probably pull maybe a couple thousand at a game on a good night. So it's improving. I first got into baseball when I was young. I used to play T-ball. Probably play that over there.
We all played T-ball here. Cricket. That was part of being 5 years old, man, playing T-ball.
Exactly. So it used to be quite big here, T-ball, but it died off reasonably quickly, unfortunately. But, yeah, look, it's grown. We've got a really good baseball community down here. Some very passionate fans who, as I said, get up early or listen in when they're at work. It's growing. It's heading in the right direction, at least.
I told you the last time we spoke that I was walking through a supermarket in suburban Brisbane, and I ran into a guy wearing an Oriole hat. Everywhere I was in Byron Bay, young people were wearing baseball hats. Texas Rangers, Seattle Mariners, different hats that were baseball. So I got a little Australia fun for you. So I go to get on the plane home on a Qantas flight from Sydney to Los Angeles, and it was a 14-and-a-half-hour flight, and this was back in March, and a bunch of very attractive girls get on with a lot of gear. It was very obvious that they were athletes of some kind.
Yeah.
And it took me a moment to figure out what sport and looking at their bags. It was all marked with Australian national. This wasn't a club team or a college team or a pro team.
Yeah.
This was representing the Kangaroo and the Australians and the Sevens rugby. Are you familiar with the women's rugby team in Australia?
I'm not.
You're not at all.
Obviously, I've heard of them, but yeah.
So they won the Olympic gold medal in Rio. And I was doing this quick research, and the girl that sat next to me for 15 hours was the captain of the team. She was actually knighted by your prime minister that our president doesn't know who it is, the Malcolm Gladwell, the Hopewell, Rockwell guy over there, Sharni Williams. So I made friends with the captain of your Olympic rugby winning gold medal team. And, I asked her how. She said, the rest of the squad didn't do so well, but, we got us a gold, and I'm like, good, man, good. So then she proceeds to open the Qantas magazine, and she was the featured person in the magazine for the team.
There you go.
So we thought they were going to Las Vegas to play in the rugby sevens against, the Kiwis and the world and the United States,
Fiji
Canada.
And all that, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a little Australian paparazzi sighting with one of your knighted gold medal champion. She was also the captain of the team as well. So she's pretty cool. So I love Australia. I love the Australians over there. I got to get over. Your hometown is famous for AC/DC, right? Like there's a whole AC/DC thing going on over there, right?
Oh, they're huge over here. Absolutely. They're massive. Yeah.
Well, my wife keeps telling me next time we come, I'm coming to Melbourne. So there better be a delicious pint in your honor when I come to Melbourne, Dan Clark. But good having you on. I know you're going to be into the Ravens soon, and you're doing the Oriole thing. So we'll check back in with you in August to get ready for Raven season and catch up on the Orioles in a couple months too.
Sounds great.
You got it. Dan Clark Sports. That is DJC Sports out on the internet as well as out on Twitter. He's up in the middle of the night, in the middle of the morning for himself. Dan Clark Sports, multi-award winning writer and creator of TBLDaily.com. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile devices. Download the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you are. Don't forget, Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. If you want to come to London with us, Nashville, Green Bay, we got the trips for you in Raven season. They're under the Road Trips tab out on the website. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.